Hello and welcome to episode 100 of Coffee Break Blogging. A little bit of a milestone for me. I mean, it really did come up on me kind of quick because we are doing 2 episodes a week here. So it didn't take that long to reach episode 100, but that's just a nice big round number. I know many podcasts never even get to episode 100. So this is pretty cool. If you've been following along with this podcast for quite some time, I mean, we switched over to the Coffee Break Blogging model starting around episode 30. So if you've been with me this entire time, or you've at least been with me for a little while, thank you. I really appreciate you being there, listening to the podcast. I have been getting really good feedback about it. People who come and they join the blog monetization lab and stuff like that, and they say, yeah, I found you from the podcast, and that is really, really awesome. So I'm really, really happy to have you here. And by the way, if you have not reviewed the show recently, I would obviously appreciate that you do that. You can head over to blogmarketingacademy.com/iTunes and do exactly that. Now, what we're going to be talking about here on episode 100, because we're continuing our ongoing series here, and we're talking primarily about traffic building right now. And so what we're going to start talking about right now with episode 100 is building up a YouTube channel. Now, the last 4 episodes of the show, we talked all about podcasting. So now we're moving into a new medium, which is that of video. And we all know that YouTube is the huge elephant in the room. They are the big kahuna when it comes to video marketing. And there's no doubt that a popular YouTube channel is most definitely a valuable asset. In fact, there are people out there who have such large YouTube followings that they make a full-time living on YouTube alone. Okay, so it's a really, really, powerful platform. You're finding that YouTube is now being built into most televisions these days. It's definitely on all these little devices like the Apple TV and the Roku. It's getting to the point now where YouTube content can practically replace TV. I mean, as long as you're not that picky about live sports and stuff like that. And so YouTube is a pretty big deal. Now, the truth of the matter here is when it comes to building up your YouTube channel is that this definitely is something that takes time. It's just like podcasting. When I said back in episode 96, when we started talking about podcasting, I made clear that this is not an instantaneous thing. It is a long-term play. And it's the same exact thing with your YouTube channel. It's not something where you can execute a few little secret ninja strategies and all of a sudden you're going to have a ton of followers over there. That's not the way it's going to work. So being that this is going to take some time, probably more time than other things that you might do because video takes a little bit more time, you need to do it with a strategy. And just like podcasting, you need to have a plan. You need to know what you're going to be doing with that YouTube channel so that it doesn't seem all over the place. Okay? And because we've all made mistakes, I've done the same thing with my YouTube channel. I mean, I am not any kind of a YouTube guru. I'll be straight up and let you know. My YouTube channel, I've done various things with it over the years, and I've not really made a concerted effort to do a lot with it. And it goes down to, the old 80-20 rule. It really comes down to, for me, I realized that my time was best spent doing other things. It's primarily because I have limited capacity to get things done. Now, so it's not any commentary on how valuable YouTube is. It's just something that I've personally done. And quite frankly, sometimes I question it and think that maybe I need to man up and do it a little bit more. So, but that's what we're going to be talking about here. Now, there's 2 primary approaches that I see when it comes to building up a nice YouTube channel. And those 2 approaches are, one is to be helpful, and that is doing how-to and that type of thing. And the other approach is that of being a personality. Those are the 2 big ones that I see out there if I had to put them into 2 major categories, being helpful and being a personality. Generally speaking, they're 2 different things. Now, they can go together. In fact, there's a guy in the tech space, his name's Chris Perillo from Locker Gnome, who comes to mind, and he does both. He actually he does helpful stuff, talking about tech stuff on his channel, but he also happens to be a personality. So you can do both of them. Generally speaking, for most of us, it will be kind of an either or thing. So if you're going to do the helpful avenue, then you need to realize, and it's true, that YouTube is probably the biggest how-to search engine that exists. YouTube is essentially a search engine. Google owns it. People go and search like crazy on YouTube. It's a very, very popular search engine. Not only that, if you're on google.com and you search how to do something, YouTube videos rank typically pretty well because Google wants to rank their own property, right? They own YouTube. And so for that reason, if you create truly helpful content that answers specific questions, that shows people how to do things that they're looking to do when they're looking to do it, you can get a lot of views on your videos. And it's simply by the fact that you're targeting those keywords, how to something. And then you have things in the description and stuff like that. So the big thing here is that when you create videos, you want to make clear videos that are how-to oriented, that clearly shows them how to do something so that they can just immediately go and do it. And you want to have specific titles on those things. Don't get cute with them. And the other thing is, don't make stupid, like vague titles. Because I've seen some people do that where they'll put together some video and then they'll upload it to YouTube and it just has whatever default title was put there by their editor. And that's not very smart. You need to actually put some thought into it and treat it like a headline. But at the same time, you need to target those keywords. Now, at the same time, you want to put those keywords into the description of the video because that's obviously very important to getting it ranked. These are how-to videos, and you want to get them ranked. Now, when it comes to the various topics that you do on the how-to, realize that there are already a ton of how-to videos on YouTube. And so when you come in and make one, you need to put some thought into the topics that you're going to talk about. Now, you can address the same stuff that other people have talked about, but you might want to bring a twist to it. You might want to make it a little bit more clear, maybe a little higher production value, something that's going to make it stand out. But the other thing that you can do is pay particular attention to things that has not been covered very well on YouTube, and they are definitely out there. Or there are things that people have talked about, but they just did a crappy job because it was recorded by some teenager that maybe, didn't know how to make a good video and they're just kind of droning into the mic. And you think, oh, I can do a better job. That's the kind of thing that you want to look for. You want to look for lack of a better word, openings. Okay? Excuse me. Now, let's look into the other approach here, which is being a personality. This one is not my bag. I like everybody, I have a personality, but I am not the kind of person who's going to go on YouTube and try to get fame and stuff like that on YouTube. It's just not something I'm interested in. But there's no doubt that some of the most popular channels out there do exactly that. And they do that by making content that's designed to get a following. Their job is to be entertaining. A completely different thing than what I usually do and what I would imagine most of us that are listening to this are going to probably do. You're going to be funny. You're going to be, doing something to really entertain people and then get them to want to almost practically live their life vicariously through you on your YouTube channel. Completely different way to go. Now, the big thing here when you're doing it this way is that it's much more important that you maintain regularity. You have to think of it like a blog or think of it like a podcast. If you're doing how-to videos, you don't need to have any particular schedule. But if you're doing this, if you're treating it like a video blog, then you do. You need to be pretty consistent about when those videos come out and treat it like, you got to have some discipline. You also probably want to make it episode based. So it's like every video is like a new installment in the life of you and whatever personality you're putting on YouTube. So it's a different bag, a completely different thing than what I do, but I definitely see how people do it. Okay. Now let's go over a few best practices, a few tips that can help you build up your YouTube channel. The first one here is to always ask people to subscribe to your channel at the end of your video. Now, you've seen people do that, and that's why. Because subscribers on the YouTube channel are definitely a nice asset. It is kind of like building an email list. The thing about it is that it's a pool of guaranteed views for any video that you put out there. And because videos have high engagement, very similar to podcasting, those subscribers are important. They actually mean something. And so you want to make sure that when you end a video, you ask people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. And in fact, and we'll talk about annotations in a later episode here, but you can actually put links inside the video that they can click on and subscribe. And there's various things that you can do, okay? The next tip is at the end, you can bounce them around a little bit. And what I mean by that is that you don't want to leave it up to YouTube to put their own related stuff at the end of your video. You can tell them where to go. You could put an annotation link in the video that points them to another video. Maybe you could mention in the video, hey, go check that out right now. Click that link. So I've seen some people, they will actually make their own related links or related videos inside of the video. So it's actually part of the video itself. They'll do it inside the editor and you'll see little thumbnails moving around, but they actually built it themselves rather than letting YouTube do it. So that's the technique of just simply bouncing them around, getting them to basically check out other content that you have on your YouTube channel, okay? Another tip that you can do is to have common elements in your titles so that you could dominate the related videos that go in the sidebar on youtube.com. So one of the ways you could do this, and as actually an example would be this very podcast. I actually do put a video version of this podcast out on my YouTube channel. Now, it's not that much to look at. It's just basically a still image, but you can listen to the podcast on YouTube. But we have a prefix on there called CBB, Coffee Break Blogging. Now, every single episode has CBB at the very beginning of it on YouTube. We do the same thing on iTunes, by the way. And what that does is that if you're watching or listening to any of the Coffee Break episodes on YouTube, that little CBB thing being common among all of them is going to make it so that it's a lot more likely for all of my videos to show up as related videos on the sidebar at youtube.com, okay? So you can have some kind of a prefix or a suffix, something that's common on your video titles, and that can actually help you get your own stuff ranked. It's basically the same as reducing bounce rate on your blog, except you're doing this on your YouTube channel, okay? Next tip is to choose a compelling screenshot on the video. Now, the screenshots are important because this is what people are going to often make the call on whether they're going to look at your video or not. Many people are going to make that decision based on how good looking your still shot is on the video, okay? And so you want to put some thought into it. If it's a how-to video, you probably want to have a nice compelling image with the title of the video right there in that still image, something like that, something that makes it very clear that that's a high quality video that they're looking for. Now, if you're a personality-based channel, then you're probably going to want to have an image of, you making some funny face. This is just the truth of the matter. A lot of times you'll see women who will put themselves on their still shot in a pose that makes them look attractive. It works. I mean, it just is what it is. So, you put some thought into the screenshot that can help you get more views on your videos. Okay. Next tip is to treat YouTube like a social network. Essentially, that's what it is. It's a video-based social network. Okay. Now, so that means you can subscribe to people, which is basically the same as following them, like on Twitter or something. You could post comments on their videos and people can interact with each other. All this is basically getting the word out and interacting and engaging. All the same stuff that we're taught to do with Facebook and Twitter and the like, you could do it on YouTube. And that can help you build up your channel, okay? Next tip here is, and it's very related to the last one, and that is to actually respond to comments on your videos, okay? Make it a two-way dialogue, okay? So if somebody posts a comment on your YouTube video, go and respond. Now, on the same side, you can flip it on its head, and you can go to other people's videos and comment on them, okay? Like I said, it's a social network. Turn this into a two-way dialogue. Okay. Next tip is to cross-promote your YouTube channel on other resources that you have. So if you happen to have a podcast, you can mention your YouTube channel there if you want. If you have a blog, of course, mention your YouTube channel. Link to it, embed your videos periodically. That kind of thing can cross-promote your YouTube channel. And of course, if you're coupling that up with calls to action to actually subscribe to the channel, then you will build it up just based on your blog audience. Okay. The last tip I'm going to provide here on this episode is to keep an eye or an ear out for good topics. Now, this is especially important if you have primarily a how-to or tutorial style YouTube channel. You need to keep your ear out. If you have people who are posting comments on your blog, or you're getting emails from people on your list, and you see certain common questions coming up, that demonstrates demand. It demands people want to, have that as an answer. So create a YouTube video for it. Okay. Keep your ear out for things that people are saying. It could also be on your own blog. You can go to, other people's blog is what I meant to say. You can go to other people's blogs and see questions that are coming up in the comments on other people's posts, and you can answer them on your YouTube channel. Okay. Always keep your ear to the ground, as it says, to look for good stuff that you can post tutorials about on your channel. Okay, so those are a few of the tips to help you build up your YouTube channel. Definitely a valuable asset if you're willing to put the time into it. And I will end off with a couple of calls to action for you. Okay, we've talked about that on this show many times. First one is I want to invite you, if you've never been there before, to my big blog monetization webinar. And you'll find that at blogmonetizationwebinar.com. Now, what we do on this webinar is that I present to you a actual business model in graphical format that you can build behind your blog and actually make some money with the darn thing. And it's based on real business principles. We're not doing fly-by-night stuff like putting AdSense ads all over the place or, putting Amazon affiliate links. That's all like old school stuff that doesn't work very well. We're talking about building a real business. And all this stuff, this whole podcast at the end of the day, is about building up an online business. We're just doing it in stages. That's why Coffee Break Blogging goes out a long time, okay? But it all comes down to that business model at the end of the day, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about at blogmonetizationwebinar.com. So sign up for the next one, and I'd love to see you on there. Lastly, I would love if you'd go and review and star rate this podcast. And you can do that in iTunes. That's the most helpful location for you to do it. And you can run over to blogmarketingacademy.com/iTunes, and that'll shortcut you right in there. And I would highly appreciate those reviews. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Hope you found it valuable. I'll see you on episode 101, where we're going to continue talking about YouTube. We're actually going to talk about how to make videos that actually look and sound good. Okay? Talk to you then.